Okay, everybody, this is Sheets, and this is going to be the David Peters NBA DFS slate review for Saturday. And the reason why this is the David Peters slate review, for those of you who don't know who he is, Dave, if you're out there, you could remember this, but David Peters is really one of the great poker players of our generation. Really, really good online player. Translated that to the live tournament scene as well. Just millions in cashes. Just really kind of a mild-mannered guy also. Met him a few times. Just a great kid. Great kid. He's probably 50 by now. Who the hell knows? The reason why I bring him up is there was a tournament back at Borgata, must have been 10, 15 years ago, where I think it was a 5K buy-in. It was one of those 5K buy-ins that really no one had any business playing. It was a really, really loaded tournament, very small, maybe 100 people or something like that. Literally everybody in the tournament was really good. Not everybody, but you know how it goes. And he got to the final table, and it was with him and Sorrel Mizzi and a couple of other really good players. I forget whether Slop and Cloud was playing or not. For those of you who remember who he was, he might have been at the final table as well. And between him and these two or three other guys at the final three or four, they just slugged it out for like hours and hours and hours and hours. And I think they might have ended up chopping or something like that. It must have taken just so much out of him. And it was just went till all hours of the night. And, you could just sense the brain power that was being sucked out of these guys, just kind of having to battle with each other the whole time. The reason I tell the story is this. I think that tournament ended at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And the next day, I was playing something, and I went down there, and David Peters was playing in a $300 tournament with like a zillion people in it. Like literally the morning after, he just got through this incredibly ridiculous tournament. And if that doesn't show the dedication enough, I'm pretty sure it was also his birthday. So he after playing that incredible tournament, the next morning got up on his birthday and played a $300, wild tournament. I bring it up because it's Saturday and it's my birthday. And I'm going out with my wife soon or later, but I wanted to put something out there for you guys if anybody was interested. So I am going to just go over a couple of things for this evening's slate because there is just a incredible amount of news that kind of came in. LeBron is out. AD remains questionable. I'd like to think that they would have him play if LeBron's going to be out, but it's hard to say. So it brings up some interesting situations, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, again, as of now, which is about 3:30, what I think the good values are and the good plays are and whatever, and how I would approach this. And, we'll see what happens. Honestly, the most intriguing game of the entire slate is actually going to be the New Orleans-Boston game, okay? Because there's a lot of guys on here that are going to be out, and it's going to really, really affect, some incredibly good values here. So let's just kind of go through this. So on the New Orleans side, with Drew Holiday is going to be out, Derek Favors is going to be out, J.J. Redick is going to be out, and Kenrick Williams, I think, is going to be out. That creates just an incredible amount of value for a lot of players. I'm just going to just go through them with you. The top player, obviously, that's everybody's going to just know about is going to be Brandon Ingram. Okay, he rates to be an incredibly good play. But in addition to that, there's 4 other plays worth mentioning. Josh Hart rates to be a very good play. E'Twaun Moore rates to be a very good play. Jackson Hayes might end up being a lock at 3,800. And he's not even in this main lineup I have. And there's Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who also just rates to be an insane value. And with all these guys out, I don't imagine there's going to be any lineup that doesn't have multiple New Orleans guys in it that's going to have a chance. But that's just my initial take of how I would approach this. And just from a construction standpoint, if you're going to do that, it's always a good idea to run it back with someone from the other side. And fortunately, there's a really, really good value on the other side who rates to put a lot of points up also, and that's going to be Gordon Hayward. So, but after him, you have guys like Kemba Walker who just looks okay. Jaylen Brown who looks just okay. And I don't know really how ownership is going to come in. So if everything I just said works out to be incredibly chalky, then you have to figure out some other way to differentiate. But that seems like a really, really solid, easy way to kind of approach this is to play multiple, I was about to say Saints, New Orleans guys, run it back with Gordon Hayward or somebody like that, and you're kind of in good shape. The other thing is let's go to some of these other games because there are some good plays that are coming from these other games, which the existence of this value can allow you to access if that's what you want to do. Like, for example, in Chicago, Zach LaVine once again rates to be an extraordinarily good play. Nobody ever plays him. Last night he was 6% owned, although it was a very small, large slate. But he rates to be a very, very good play. And in addition to that, on the Detroit side, you have Andre Drummond, who rates to be an incredible play. He played like 50 minutes his last game or something like that. Thank God he had a day off. But against this matchup, I can certainly see him having another big day, and the projection system sort of agrees with it. So Andre Drummond looks to be an extremely strong play. Now, you'll notice, by the way, that he's not in this lineup either. But again, just because he's a good play doesn't mean that you have to play all the good plays. I presume Andre Drummond's going to be pretty popular, and he does take up a Jackson Hayes spot if you want to use him there. And you'll see this lineup doesn't even have Jackson Hayes or Andre Drummond, so you can play these New Orleans values and there are still other good plays that you can make. But Andre Drummond and Zach LaVine look to be really good plays, and I certainly wouldn't mind a mini stack with those two. And nobody really else in this game stands out. Derrick Rose doesn't look to be as good as he has been at this price for Detroit. And on the Chicago side, I think if you want to speculate a little bit on the Chicago side, you could speculate that Daniel Gafford's going to have to play a lot of minutes to match up with Andre Drummond. I mean, not that it's going to be a good matchup or anything for him, but at least he's going to hopefully get the minutes to, get his rebounds and pay off his price tag, which really isn't that bad at 4,400. So he's somebody that you could go to. And also, Lauri Markkanen, he might get, he rates to be an okay play also. So that's what I would do from the Chicago side is play LaVine, maybe some speculation on Gafford. The Laker game is kind of a mess, but it's kind of simple. If in fact this might be, maybe this is a way to differentiate, because based on what I'm seeing, if Anthony Davis plays, which is what I am presuming for now, I actually don't even like him that much. I mean, you would think that with him in and LeBron out, that he'd be such a smash play, but he's just simply not projecting that way. So, if he's going to be high chalk, which I could imagine being the case with all the New Orleans value out there and some Laker value too, you could certainly get Davis in really, really easily. But he's not really looked to be that terrific a play. So, I mean, I'm not going to say he's a terrible play, but certainly nothing great. So, if he's highly owned, I could consider fading somebody like that. The guy who is going to pop is an incredible value. Whether Davis plays or not is going to be Rajon Rondo. And with the amount of usage he's going to take from these guys and the minutes he's going to get, it's kind of a tough guy for me to fade, if you want to know the truth. I think he's going to be one of those kind of, even though he hasn't really done much recently, I think he's just kind of chalk that I'm not going to be able to get away from if I play, which I might not even play. So as I said, I am going out, but I wanted to give you at least some. Who am I kidding? I'm going to play something. So Rajon Rondo certainly is good. If in fact LeBron AD is out, then it's back to Jamel Vale-McGee, Kyle Kuzma, and the same guys from last night. If you want to go speculate on Alex Caruso, I've heard a little talk about him. He's fine, I suppose, as a dart throw, but I don't think you need it. I think that those New Orleans values, I think that Nickeil Alexander-Walker is just a much better play, for example. He's going to come with higher ownership, so that matters also. But I would just go, if Davis is playing, I probably would fade him and just play Rondo. but that's just me. Philly, Dallas, with Embiid out, you're going to get the same type of values that you had before. So they really haven't adjusted the prices too much. So you're going to have Tobias Harris and Al Horford rating as your two best plays. I don't like Simmons as much as I did last time. But you can play Tobias Harris or Horford. And again, depending on how ownership comes in, I keep stressing that. That's going to separate these plays between Harris, Horford, Levine, guys like that. Josh Richardson is not as good of a play as he was before. And then on the Dallas side, you can certainly play Luka. I mean, Luka looks to be a really good play. Even though he's 12-4, he's projecting about 65 points, something like that, which, it's pretty good. And you can certainly afford him. Like with all this stuff out there, you can certainly play him if you want. See, this is where you're kind of headed here with a slate like this. You'll be able to get all this value in. So what you can do is you can then choose what else you want to do. Like you could pay up for Luka. You could go kind of a mid-range build like I have here, and that's what makes the slate like this kind of easy. I mean, it's not going to be easy necessarily to win, but it's easy to make your lineups because of all that value. And Luka is certainly someone that rates well, and you could certainly play him. Cleveland, Denver, just a couple more games here. I consider this one a cross-off. I just do. Nobody rates to be a really good value here. So you can kind of skip through that, I think. See people coming in mentioning me on Facebook for my birthday. And Milwaukee, Portland, it's the usual guys on the Portland side, and they're all looking good, Lillard, Whiteside. I paired the two of them together in this one. You could go down to McCollum if you want. And just those three guys all look to be really, really good values. So, and you can get them in. So I don't think you want to be too fancy on this slate. You want to pick your favorites of these guys that look good. Hopefully you pick the guys that are low owned, and you can correlate them really easily. You could go to Giannis if you want on the other side if you want to do that, and you can afford it, and he rates to be a good play. 228 total, could be close. You get Lillard back and forth with Giannis. That's something that you might be interesting. So overall, again, this is a really, really quick slate overview, but I think that the presence of this New Orleans value is kind of what drives this, plus whatever Laker value kind of comes out of this. I'm hoping that, for your guys' sake, that LeBron doesn't play, that AD plays, so it doesn't become even more of a mess. One thing I forgot to mention, I'm sorry, is that on that Oklahoma City side of that game, sorry about that. Likewise, you have these guys look good too. So Steven Adams, Chris Paul, Dennis Schroeder, all look good. So what DraftKings has done for you on a slate like this is really, made it so you can play whoever you want. So what I would do is honestly, now I'm going to look at ownership a little bit and just kind of toss out all the guys that I mentioned that are highly owned. So, for example, Andre Drummond, 35%. I mean, it was a great play, but there are a lot of great plays. Jackson Hayes, 40%. It's a great play, but there are a lot of great plays, So you can go down to someone like Lillard at 18% or someone like Whiteside at 19% and get a little bit of leverage over those chalkier plays, Anthony Davis, 20%. You don't need him, so you can get rid of him. So that's what I would do. I would just take this whole pool of good plays that we kind of went over. Don't get too fancy about it, and just pick the guys that have the lowest ownership of those plays and just kind of put them together, like Lillard and Whiteside just kind of work well together. Again, if you want, you could run this back with Giannis. That might not be the worst idea in the world. That's going to be a little harder to get in, but you'd have to get rid of Ingram, right? And probably also have to get rid of Hayward if you want to get them in, right? So you could do that, but it becomes a little more difficult. All right, that's all I had. I'll try to load this up there. Hope you have a great night and good night day in football and whatever else you got going on this weekend.